Welcome to The Ripple Effect with Soria, where we discuss personal development, the entrepreneurial journey, and impact. Here is your host, Armando Soria.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to The Ripple Effect. I know it's been a minute, and I do sincerely apologize for the hiatus, but it gives us something to talk about to help me unpack where I've been the last quarter. I thought it'd be appropriate to bring back my good pal Tony Sanchez. What's up, Tony?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, man. I am actually doing really well. Yeah, it just feels like I've gone around the world and back, man, in a really short period of time. You know?
I can attest to that because, like I've said many times that people know, we talk on a daily, and I think with what it's been a quarter. It's crazy because it feels like it's been a year.
Yeah.
But you definitely have a lot of growth and continue to growth, and so it's great. So. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But first, just want to remind you, if you gain any value, you find this entertaining, you have fun with it, you enjoy it, do us a favor and share the show. Tony Sanchez, Spiffy Clean, how you been, bro?
Good, man. Not as busy as you, I guess, but doing all right.
Yeah, man, that's cool, dude. Well, like I said, you said it. We talk every day. We talk daily, just about, right? And so, like, I think that you're underselling yourself as well. But let's go ahead and just get down to brass tacks, dude. I just wanted to take a minute and really kind of share, some of the adversity that I've gone through, because on the other side of that adversity is that growth that you mentioned that I feel, and I think it's something that's super relatable just to any industry, any business, any entrepreneur that is striving to do some things, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I coming off of what year was it? 2023, right? We found really amazing success in 2023. We reached some milestones that we were really shooting for, and we did so pretty quick. And so the pressure was on, so to speak, to not just duplicate, what we did, but also grow from that point on, right? And that's a lot of pressure that we take on ourselves when we're aspiring for greatness and aspiring to do more, right? So I started January we as the company started January on the right track. We didn't have like a crazy, super busy month. It was just averaging to where we were going to, what we did the previous year. And enter February, right? And
I remember that month.
Yeah, well, that was kind of it, man. And it's funny, we have this ongoing joke that we don't talk about February, man. and so what happened was, I got my ass kicked, man. It was the first month in the 3 years, 3 years and 2 months that we've been in business where I was in the red. You know what I mean? Hence the lighting. No, it was rough, man. I was in the red, right? We faced deficit. We went upside down that month, man, and it hurt, right? It was rough, and I feel like an asshole now, right? Because as I'm saying that, I'm like, oh, I had a bad month, right? But the thing was, it's like, my mentor, Chris, he was the one that kind of put it in that perspective for me in a loving way, right? He goes, you're an asshole, man. Right. And I was an asshole in the sense that I have been so fortunate in my business journey that I worked, we worked hard. My company has worked very hard, not taking any credit away. And I'm not taking away any of the adversity that we faced from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, up to entering year 4. But when we were slow in previous months financially, we would break even. That was slow for us. You know what I mean? And that's pretty incredible in years where you're having 100% growth year after year for the first 3 years. Right. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I get it. I know you're right. We haven't faced too much, right? So we get to this point, we're upside down, and what happened was, well, there's two things that happened, one good and one bad, right? The bad was I regressed in terms of like my mental fortitude, I guess you could say. I regressed. I fell back into a pattern of scarcity and limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs as in like I started acting like out of disparity because I felt like there was no longer this unlimited supply of abundance, right? All of a sudden I'm like, shit, I'm going to run out of money. And that was the first time in a long time that I was like, shit, like if this continues, we're not going to be able to make payroll. Like, holy crap, right? This is rough. And scared the shit out of me, man. And I'm someone that has put in a lot of time and energy and work and surrounding myself with good coaching to overcome a bad or a poor money mindset. Right. And so it was like instant trigger for me, man. And it was rough.
And I think we've discussed that as far as, I mean, maybe Chris is not going to like it or any other, coach out there, but we're only human. And we're going to feel like that because we've been there before. We've been broke. We've been having no money, So I think that's the thing where we have to give ourselves a little bit of credit and say we're only human. But, I think you're going to go there next. But, what did you do after the fact that where, you saw February, you felt February. What did you do to get yourself out?
Well, started not sleeping. So, yeah, it was rough, dude. I was losing sleep. I started having panic attacks, which I hadn't had but one other time. That was like 6 months ago, or no, longer, like a year ago at this point. And, it was rough. And I knew from coaching, and I knew like, okay, I gotta snap out of this kind of thing, right? And the good thing was that I leaned into my coaching program. I leaned into my coach, right? And that's what they're there for, man. So when all this was happening, I was looking, I felt like I was drowning, right? But at the same time, I had a coach, right? And when we had our meetings and we talked about where we were, the first thing that he was offering me was perspective, and that was in the sense that, hey, listen, like you're having a bad month, like welcome to business ownership, right? And he quite frankly, he put it at this. Chris, he put it as, look, man, you're right where you're supposed to be. Like this is where you're supposed to be right now. New level, new devil. And I was like, what? I was like, shit, right? And I still didn't understand what that meant, right? I mean, I knew what it meant, but I was like, man, this is kind of bizarre. Now, if I could go back, one thing that I did do right, and this is the part that's like, it's like freaking awesome at this point, was that although I felt like I was running out of money, although I was struggling financially that month, although I was scared out of my mind, right? One thing that I did do was I continued to invest in marketing. I continued to put money forward where I needed to put it forward. I continued to invest in my team and make sure that they were getting hours. They were doing, I mean, we had no work. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like no work. I think we produced 3 jobs, if I'm not mistaken, 3 jobs all that month, right? And I'll get into the whys and all that later, but maybe 5. You know what I mean? But I mean, we didn't have work like consistently. So I tell you what, man, my bathrooms never looked cleaner at the office. The equipment never looked shinier, dude, because I would just like, and it hurt. Like I'm watching them like, and I'm like, but I knew that it was the investment in trying to keep the team. So I didn't retract, right? I didn't regress in that sense where like every fiber in my body wanted me to stop putting money out. Right. You know what I mean? No, dude, I hired another marketing company and invested a shit ton of money to revamp our whole strategy and paid for like ads and did all this kind of stuff, right? All our SEO, all of our campaigning, all that kind of stuff. And I was just signing like, okay, I'm signing the contract. Holy shit, right? Yeah. And I leaned into that stuff, right? Likewise, I also continued to go through my coaching program with my mentor and did all that kind of stuff, right? So even though I was like drowning over here, I was still like, okay, cool. I was like, right? So that's what I did. But what happened was, it was really funny, right? Like the way that the universe works, man. The following month, so now I think this was like now the tail end of February, been getting my ass kicked all month, and all of a sudden, I'm part of a Warrior Tribe is our mastermind program, right? And Chris goes, all right, man, the topic for the month is we're going to go ahead and discuss sales. I'm like, okay, cool, that's great, because right now we ain't selling shit, dude. We ain't selling nothing. And so the first thing I did was through my like one-on-one deal that I had with Chris was I started evaluating my numbers. I started looking at all of my fucking numbers, and I was like, holy crap, we are at a less than a 10% close rate right now. That's wild, right? Because we've always stayed around at the highest, we're like at 80%. Typically we're like at a 70% close rate, but that's like ridiculous.
Big difference.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now we're less than 10%. So then I started looking into what happened, right? And we started kind of like peeling back the layers. And the first thing that my coach said, he offered his perspective, and he goes, right now you're experiencing the results of what you were up to 90 days ago. And Armando, you took your foot off the gas 90 days ago. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah. You didn't feel it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
90 days ago, I was investing my time in developing processes and systems. I was focusing on my administrative side. I was thinking about my office manager. I was looking at, training and all this other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Training as in my production technicians, right? But he goes, no, man, like you hired your project manager about 90 days ago, right? I'm like, yeah, I did. He goes, And so he's been going out to doing your inspections and doing your sales and that kind of stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, he has been. And he goes, did you ever train him?
Kind of just threw him out there.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, no, I didn't. He goes, yeah, you didn't. And the reason why was because he came on board and like Tony's amazing. He came on board in December, and I sent him off to inspections, and he was closing jobs on his own, right? He has 20 years experience in this racket as a project manager, super clear on that, project manager, not a salesperson, a project manager. So he'd go out to go do the inspections and then basically educate the customer, and they'd say yes and go. And we'd start the job, and that was it. So December and January, that's what we were doing. So I said, oh, he's good. I'm going to go over here, right? So then I started focusing on other things that I had neglected while focusing a lot on production. I started focusing on admin. So what happened was he was struggling on closing jobs, right? And then, so of course, you look at yourself, you got to hold yourself accountable. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's because I never really properly onboarded him on the sales aspect of his job. Well, what really happened, like, I don't even know how I got from there to here, but what really happened was after really taking in some of the coaching that I was receiving, the one thing that came up in the program that I'm on, the coaching program, is never look at your customer. This is like sales, not, I wouldn't say 101 because it's better than that shit, but never look at your customers like a profit margin. Right. Always look at your customers as an opportunity to serve. Yeah. CW said that, and I was like, it resonated with me deeply because that's what's always been my success, or our success as a company has been because we always are looking to serve them. Right. Always looking to educate them, always looking to go above and beyond and give them all the information on mold and water damage and the insurance world because it's fucked up, right? And we want to give them everything. But I realized at that moment that what had happened was I was so screwed up mentally, just like with the limiting beliefs and all this like fear, really, that I realized that I was looking at my customers as profit margins at that point, because what happened was the disparity fell onto me that I was not going to have enough money for payroll, that I was running out of money. It's now a limited supply. I'm running out. So then I started looking at all those leads, because guess what? The fucked up part was in February, we still had over 40 leads come in, which is a really good amount considering that we were still just getting started on our marketing campaigns, right? But we only closed like 3 or 4 jobs or 5 jobs, right? Like it was wild. And then I realized, what was happening was Tony knows how to sell, like just in the sense that he knows how to educate our clients. He does a great job at that. But what he was getting was I was projecting all of my insecurities and all of my disparity, and I was projecting all that bullshit onto him and putting all this unnecessary pressure on him that he had been subconsciously, consciously, whatever, he was projecting that onto our customers.
Right, yeah.
So our customers are now looking at us like sleazy salesmen.
Right, yeah.
No longer are we that company that just wants to serve our clients and wants to educate. Now all of a sudden we're trying to sell. We're trying to make money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that goes against everything that we've ever stood for. And I lost myself for those 4 weeks. I had lost myself in that bullshit because of my own, fear.
Bullshit. Yeah.
It just like came over me like that, man, like a snap of the fingers. And I was just like, holy crap, right? And so we were like, okay, stop. No. The play that was to be ran was I need to get back out there. I need to go back to focus on education. I need to get, pull my head out of my ass essentially and get in the field, roll out with Tony and just kind of start over again. Like, like if it was his first day. Sure. Educate. And we did, and the change that came was overnight. It was instantly, just by shifting our perspective or our mindset or however you want to put it, by instantly putting the customers first, by instantly deciding that we're going to educate rather than sell, the jobs started flowing. Not only were the leads like increasing, just the abundance of opportunity, but the close rate immediately shot up to 60%. So we went from 10% to 60, 70%, like in a week, or in a month, basically. By March, we were back. Yeah. So now the story has changed. It's no longer the story of we had a bad year, or it's not that story, right? It's now, it's turned into, and it will be forever, the story of one bad month.
Right, yeah.
And again, I'm an asshole now because the perspective is I'm crying over a bad month. I didn't go through a whole year. I didn't go through 2 years. My business is fine. We're doing well, and it's all about perspective, right?
And I think with the way that you in there, because there's a lot of things people say like, well, you just can't change overnight. Well, yeah, you can. There's a lot of things you can just change overnight, because if you would have sat on that, planned it, think of what can I do to change, but no, you actually woke up the next morning and said this is what we need to change, and that's where you saw the difference in 1 week.
Yeah.
CW had mentioned. 90 days, what were you doing 90 days, from that point? And that goes for anything, any type of business, any type of sales, anything. Yeah. Me in the mortgage business, same thing. If I stop marketing or if I stop doing whatever I'm doing to try to, get the business, 90 days from now, I'm going to feel the effects. Mm-hmm. And I felt that effect. So your bad month shouldn't be just like anything else. It's a learning experience. With your over 3 years now in business.
Yeah.
Like you have, and everybody have seen it, we've talked about this before, your 3 years, what you've learned, and I think it's because you put yourself in places with having good mentorship, good coaches, is you've done really, really well for your industry in a short amount of time. And I think I'm glad that you had that February month, and, I heard it every day. What was going on, was in that February month. But I'm glad you had that, because again, we've talked about it where a lot of stuff that you learn, it trickles down to me because we talk about it. You tell me what what happened with your business, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me write that down, because when I grow or when the business grows for me, I don't want to make that same mistakes. And that's why we set ourselves to have good mentorships, good coaches, because they've already done all the mistakes. Right. So you as my mentor, as my coach, same thing. So I learned the same thing. So again, thank you for having a bad month.
Yeah. So, it's really cool, man. And I appreciate that, dude. I do. And it's now I feel like, okay, cool. We're on the other side of that. We got our head out of our asses. We prioritize customer service. Like I can't believe it sucks to even think that, right? But it's the truth. You got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, right? And thank God, with the jobs that we did have in February, we still, we did a good job for them. My team is amazing. They took care of it. But it was just the approach to basically closing these leads, right? But so where have I been, basically, right? It's since that moment, like, and that was like I had to have been the end of February or the very first week of March, where like everything shifted. We're like, oh shit, this is the problem. I'm the problem,
Right? Yeah.
right? I'm the problem. We had a meeting. I called a meeting. I talked to Tony, project manager. I talked to my office manager. I talked to my team, and I said, hey guys, listen, like, my bad. This is what happened. And we had this hard conversation. And maybe, some people would disagree with having that sort of transparency with your team. But I thought it highlighted so much as to who we are as a company. And I do it again. You know what I mean? I was vulnerable with the guys, and I told them, hey, look, because of my own, limiting beliefs and my own fears, I was behaving in this manner. And what happened was, Tony, I was projecting it onto you, bro. And I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to go out there with you, and I'm committing to you guys now to go out to these inspections with you, to go, basically show you how we educate, show you how we're going to do it moving forward. And that's where we had the instant results. So I've been in the field. That's where I've been. I've been back in the field, right? Yeah. And that's been kind of funny because, I was kind of like 90 days ago taking a lot of pride in, I'm like working on the business, right? I was working on the business.
Instead of in the business.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, like, we all should strive for that. We all should strive for that. Absolutely. As business owners, right? That's the goal, right? Is to build a well-oiled machine full of systems and processes where it can take care of yourself with you not being there. For the most part, we have that happening. Like, I could go on a vacation and the guys are going to do a hell of a job. I know that. But at the same time, like, you got to make sure that you're at the right moment, or at the right place to pull yourself out. And I think what ended up happening is, in short, I removed myself too soon without having properly onboarded my personnel. And that's what caused the fear to come in. And then I basically snowballed all that shit by projecting my own bullshit, right? Yeah. And that's what happened. So now, like, things are freaking great, dude. Like, we've gone, because of me being back in the field, I was blessed with the gift of gab, and I love talking to my customers, and I love educating. Our close rate has increased dramatically, and because of all that investment during that difficult time that I was afraid to make, the amount of leads that we're getting in our presence that we've established beyond what we've already done in our community has been blowing up. So we're busier than ever. We're doing it. Like, we're kicking ass right now and taking names. And so, unfortunately, now back to the podcast, right? Unfortunately, this is, when I created the ripple effect, the whole idea, as it says in the intro, is to share the journey of entrepreneurship, right? Never claimed to be a guru. And I think I've always said that because I'm not a fucking guru, right? Never claimed that. It's always been to share the in progress of business ownership. I'm going through some things that someone else is going to go through, but just like paying for a good coach, I'm sharing the mistakes so that you don't have to make them, right? That's the goal. Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, well, first off, like, business is always going to take precedent because we're actual real life business owners, not just dudes on the mic. You know what I mean? So there's that. So business always has to come first. And if I have to not make a show because I have business to take care of, then that takes precedent, as this has always been a passion project kind of thing. But secondly, like, now, we got to a place where, okay, cool. Like, things are good now. I can go back and record, but like, the amount of growth and the lessons learned in that, in Q1 of this year, because of the adversity, like, I know I just kind of summed it up in whatever that was, 20 minutes or whatever, you know what I mean? But what's crazy is that the amount of growth, personal growth that has come through in the last quarter overpowers what all the lessons I learned last year, like the entire year. And quite honestly, I think that had I not done the work last year, I would have not been prepared or able to, like, conceptualize all my own bullshit that happened in February. Like, it's like, that's where the new level, new devil. Right. I had to get to where I was just so I could go through the new challenges that are going to be faced, because now the problems are bigger, bro. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get, we've talked about that too, as far as, as your company grows, your fleet's going to grow, staff is going to grow. And we talked about that too. I think I said the same thing that CW said, but in a different way. I think CW, we know Chris Warren's, he says things a little bit more, is harsh the wrong word? But just more
Bluntly.
truth, more bluntly, but, yeah, we mentioned, we talked about that as far as the different levels of your business. And so you peaked at that one level and you were like, oh, this is good. Now let's go to the next level. But then you hit that February. And so, it's good. But one thing I wanted to kind of touch back on is the leadership that you have with your team and your staff. With you being so transparent with them and letting them know, that you pointed the finger at you instead of you, saying like, you as the owner, the leader, and saying like, well, you didn't do your job. I thought you could do this. I thought you're capable of doing this. That's why I hired you, or this. You pointed the finger right back at yourself. And I think your team is going to, respect you, or I know your team is going to respect you more because you have your mission statements. So I think they're definitely going to respect. And again, I look at it as, an outsider kind of inside, but an outsider, it's always great stuff to learn from that. And, it's a learning experience. And so, hats off to you, my friend, because, and again, I would always keep that story, the February, because not to put that out there, but you're going to have another one. You can't always bat 1,000, so it's always going to have, you're going to have those, you're going to get to that next level and you're going to be like, oh, I'm only closing at 50%. I'm like, that's better than your 10% February, so, but, hats off to you.
Thanks, bro. And that is the funny part, right? It's like we're acting like it's. I don't mean to say it like that, but yeah, it's gonna absolutely, like, unfortunately, shit's gonna happen again. You're gonna have a rough month. You're gonna have rough months. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of business ownership. But now, having gone through it and being on the other side of some adversity, like, you're better for it, right? You come on the other side a lot stronger, like, so. Yeah, man. So that's sorry guys. I've been out for a little bit. You know what I mean? It's been I think it's been two months, almost 3 months since the last episode, and so almost another quarter in itself, right?
Yeah.
That was the Q2 has been the rebuild, man. It's been like the phoenix, rising from the ashes. It's and it's not that dramatic, but I'm just excited about where we are now and moving forward, man. So, yeah, dude. So what's up with you, man?
Just hanging out here, It's just, watching you grow, watching other of our friends grow as far as their businesses. And it's, it's great to see, our little, I wouldn't call it little, but our circle of friends that you have their own businesses, and, it's to see what they're doing, how they're growing, learning from them, learning from you. All of us learning together as one, so it's good stuff. But
yeah, dude.
Yeah, so we just finished LLS.
Yeah.
That was
dude, yeah.
That was I think we talked about it, one of our last shows that we did together, and I was ramping up for that. But
yeah. I think the last time that you were on, you were announcing that you were going to be a Visionary of the Year candidate, and here we are on the other side. I was supposed to do an episode and promote you, man. I was, dude, fucking QR code for my bad.
No, that's good. You were in your rebuild phase. That's good.
Yeah, I was in.
But no, it was fun. It was really good, and like I've told everybody, it was not to say that I thought it was going to be an easy project. But that 10 weeks, or even prior to, because I started really early, it was tough. It was tough. Asking people for money is not always easy. But it was good. It was a learning experience. And one thing that I took from it, or I took a lot of things from it, but one thing that stood out to me was, the awareness. And that was one of the biggest things that I really, really enjoyed. Part of that process was the awareness that I created. What the mortgage company that I'm with, I was reaching out to them, letting them know what I was doing. And they had just, one of the owners texted me back and said, hey, we just found out that one of our staff members here at the mortgage, the mortgage company was just diagnosed. And I was like, holy moly, and so right away connected them with LLS. Hopefully they got, the source, everything that they needed.
Yeah.
And so if I didn't raise $1 and that's all I did, I think,
you can still hang your hat proudly on that.
I did. And so that was good.
Yeah, dude. No, it's a very noble campaign to be a part of from like all sides, regardless of where you are. But as a candidate, it's, having gone through it myself, even though Alex Garcia, our producer, smoked me. Going through it, it's emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's the people that you think are going to say yes when you ask them for a donation for cancer, say no.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And the people that you don't think are going to say
or
yes.
They just ghost you.
Yeah, or they just ghost you, right? Yeah. But, such is life, right?
Yeah.
But no, man, congratulations. I think, if I'm not mistaken, your candidate class of, was it 7 of you or 8?
7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, and I wish I knew, and I wish I could give everyone their love, but, $300,000 in 10 weeks. Is that what you get? Yeah.
300,000.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, man. So good job, man. And now that that's over, you ready to step up to the leadership team?
We'll definitely talk more about it. Yeah. No, I'm always going to be a part, like I mentioned it, like I'm always going to be a part of LLS, and the start of the philanthropy life for me is that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
So I love what I'm doing, and like I said, it's just the beginning. So,
yeah, man.
Definitely.
No, that's great, dude. So in the middle of that, you had a little bit of adversity. I see you rolling around in a brand new truck.
Yeah, as you put more miles on the road and stuff like that. But I got a brand new spiffy truck. And...
Yeah, man. So in case some of you guys aren't familiar with Tony's business, he does, as he mentioned, he does mortgages and loans and whatnot, but he is also the owner and operator of Spiffy Cleaning Services. And I was, I felt like such an asshole, dude. I remember driving down the freeway, and I seen you on the side, and I don't mean to laugh, but it's funny now.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
But okay. I saw you on the side of the freeway with your flashers on, and you're pulling the trailer that does the trash bin cleaning, and I was like, I drove by you, and I picked up the phone. I was like, hey, you good? And you're like, yeah, I'm good. And then I think I called our friend Paige next, and I was like, hey, Paige, I just saw Spiffy. I think you're right, something like that.
On the side of the road.
So yeah, that's obviously like some shit, because then you had to basically get yourself another vehicle to pull that thing, and
it was long overdue. I mean, I was that was my second truck that I ran through in 2 years, But I definitely, it was something that it was funny, because we talk about I think we've talked about it before, as far as having our vision board. I don't call it a dream board, because dreams you wake up from, and
there you go.
Visions you have a vision that you set.
Yeah.
So I have a vision board, and I kind of called you on it after I bought the truck. And I was like, dude, you'll never believe this. My white truck that I just bought is on my vision board, so it's kind of, it's kind of cool to see and do. But no, I had to get the new truck. So got a brand new truck, and it's
doing
smooth.
the job.
It's smooth.
Doing the job, yeah.
It's smooth.
No, that's cool, dude. And it's always funny too, right? Like you probably needed that truck for some time, and there's always a little bit of fear that kind of prevents you from pulling the trigger. But it's funny. It's just like investing in marketing, or investing in hiring that next person or whatever, or investing in a coaching program, right? Isn't it cost me X amount more than than my current budget is, or whatever, right. And then you pull the trigger, and next thing you know, you find a way to make that money come in anyway.
It's funny how that works, that was what I was more afraid of than anything else, because the other 2 trucks I paid cash for, and they were used, of course, and this one I was like, well, I need a newer truck, more reliable, less miles, and I was like, well, don't have the cash for, because everybody knows trucks and cars are a little bit more expensive, than used. But I looked at that payment, and I was just like, I'm not used to that payment. I haven't had a payment in over 8 years, 9 years, and here we are, and then jobs start flowing through. So I'm like, all right, I think we're gonna be all right. But it's good.
Sometimes, and I just share this just because it kind of does relate to what I was talking about earlier, with just like leaning into the discomfort of spending money, and same thing with your situation, right? Very similar tales, I guess you could say. But it's funny. I remember a dear friend of mine, Paola. She mentioned to me at one point, just looking at it from like a deeper level, it's like we tend to create our own blocks, you know what I mean? By blocking that flow of money and income, right? And being afraid to pull the trigger on something that you need like that, you're creating a block. Just like how it's like, at a certain point, I'm gonna need to hire, like, we're busy,
right? Yeah,
right. And actually, it happened, right? Like we went down. We had a lot of changes internally too in the last quarter, and we got back down to like 2 guys. So I needed to hire 1 guy, so I hired him, and then we still were busy, and my guys were getting like 90 hours like, what's that? Whatever, bunch of overtime.
A lot of hours.
Right, bunch of overtime.
Yeah.
And overtime's great,
Yeah.
and that's something that's changed too. It's like I love the big payrolls. Why? Because that means that my guys are working and they're making money and they're able to buy things and take care of themselves and all that and their families, and it's a beautiful thing. And then like the roundabout thing is like, well, if they're working, then the business is innately doing well. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's making money, so I don't have to worry about that. So that's the afterthought. Yeah. But it got to a point where I'm like, man, I don't want to beat my guys to death either. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm going to hire. So that was like one of the first times that I hired, not out of disparity, but like it was a planned move. Like, okay, our business is increased. Well, then it was funny because I had hired this young man, Josiah, and he was finishing school before he came to work for us. He was finishing a trade school type thing, training program, and I had an applicant just randomly like email me, and but he like sent like a really nice cover letter, if you will. It was just personal. It wasn't just like copy and pasted, and maybe it was, but he did a hell of a job. But it caught my attention, and one thing that I've been looking into doing as far as the business goes is it's been going on for a while. Like our customers love us. We do a really, really good job restoring their homes after it floods or, mold damage or whatever. And because we build such a good rapport with our clients, they want us to do the full service, meaning once we're done ripping stuff out. And this may sound really strange to a lot of listeners, but a lot of restoration companies don't necessarily do the reconstruction after the damage. Right. As a matter of fact, when it comes to the insurance world, there's like two different buckets. There's the emergency mitigation services, which is where we live, where we go out there, we tear it out as in remove the damaged material. We don't just come in with sledgehammers, but we remove
There was that one time.
Some other guys, but no, it's controlled removal of material. Is he like that?
Yeah.
And then we set the equipment, we decontaminate everything, and we dry the framing out, we dry the structure out. And then we say, thank you, and we leave, right? And so it's really funny, right? Like I think about my Instagram posts, right, and my stories where I'm going out, and I take a lot of pride in our work, right? Because my guys, they do immaculate demolition, right? Like meaning, not the sledgehammers, but really clean lines, everything looks really good. And so I'm like in awe how clean everything is, but to the layman, they're looking at a job that has like sheetrock missing and flooring up, and they're probably like, okay, where's the rest? Where's the after picture?
A lot of unfinished work.
And I'm like, well, that is my after picture, Right. So I've been slowly working my way, like the way that we have gone about it in the past for like the past 2 years is we have, again, a very strong network of good relationships built with contractors and the like. So we're able to cater to our clients by gently handing them off to a really good contractor that's going to get the job done for them very well. And we know all the different trades and whatnot. But something that I just personally had never taken on because I came from that side of restoration was offering the full service, right? And it's on our branding. It says rebuild right there because I knew that it was going to happen. And so all of a sudden, like we're growing, and I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm going to introduce this new business, this new revenue stream and to get into the remodeling reconstruction. But I want to do it a little bit differently than working with all subcontractors. I do want to do some things in-house. And some of the restorers that might be listening are probably like, nah, sub it out. And there's some things that you'll sub out, but I want to do some things in-house. And at the time, I wasn't ready to move into that, right? But it's funny because I just talked about how shitty February was, but all of a sudden now I'm like, oh, they were blowing up. They want to open up a new revenue stream, But it was funny because I hired that dude that was about to start with us once he finished school. Then I got this resume, and this guy was a carpenter that came from the construction background. And at the time, coming off of a really shitty February, I don't really want to hire like another guy.
Right.
But I saw the opportunity, obviously, like his skill set and all that kind of thing, but also in alignment with where I want to go. And so I just pulled the trigger and said, like, screw it. Yeah. Let's interview. We interviewed. We did it right? And ended up hiring him. And so I meant to hire one. I ended up hiring two. And we're taking on, I think we have, we're just waiting for some insurance approvals, but we have like our first reconstruction job under contract. We're starting another remodel, like, next week or something like that. Yeah. But we're doing it. And again, it's just like, I was afraid to pull the trigger when I was hiring someone.
Right.
You're afraid to buy the truck, but you release the block by leaning into it and just understanding that there truly isn't a limited flow. Money's going to come and go, dude. Yeah, money comes and goes.
It definitely does.
But it comes back. There's just, it's right there. Grab it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's one of the things, again, too, kind of circle back on, the branding and, specific things. And I think for myself, and I think you did the same thing with, adding rebuild to your name. And that's specifically why I chose Spiffy Cleaning Services.
That's right.
Because I didn't want it to just be Spiffy Trash Bin Cleaning Services. You and I think a lot alike. We think big. And sometimes people think like, oh, bring it down a little bit. Bring it down. But we just don't. We have that, that crazy mind of, like, oh, I want this, I want that. So the reason why I didn't choose specifically for Spiffy Trash Bin Cleaning Services because I wanted to keep it open to other services that I wanted. Yeah. And so I do plan on adding different services, like a full service cleaning service for residential, commercial. I do plan on also getting into the street sweeping business as far as, getting things like that. So I wanted to have a big name for it. And so that's why I did it. So I think with you doing it without kind of intentionally thinking about it, you added it because you're like, oh, maybe one day. Yeah. But again, when you write things down or when you add things to it,
right there.
It's there.
I can't zoom in, but it's right there.
You can definitely know that, it's there. And so it's going to happen.
It's pretty funny, man. It's almost like I was wearing like a vision board on my chest, or on my head. Yeah. You got it too. Nice hat, bro.
Thanks. I wish I had more of our company friends' hats.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we need some more swag, guys. You know what I mean? But no, that's it, dude. It's the power of thought, man. It goes back to that, and I'm right now. It's hitting a lot because I'm reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill right now. And it's funny because some of the stuff that we're talking about is directly in that book when it comes to the control of fear and leaning into the discomfort and the power of thought. And it's all real shit, dude. Like, I can't explain it, man. Like, but I like trust and believe, listeners. Like, dude, this sounds like crazy, like hocus pocus bullshit. Like, it's not, man. It's real, dude. And that's something that I do want to like continue to improve on. And I think going through the adversity really does highlight, a lot of that, right? A lot of the fear, a lot of the just everything that we're talking about. Right. And I'm able now to do a better job of just letting go and trust, right? Letting go and just whatever happens, like we're gonna be all right, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. So dude.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad that you had that learning experience. And you took it, with that, and then now you have a story to tell and something that, again, for the listeners to listen to and kind of learn from and really think about or listen to what's going on and what you've been through, and try not to make that same mistake.
Yeah. And one last thing is it just, again, back to the same theme that we talk about in every single episode, and that's how important it is to align yourself with mentors and coaches and people that are on the same path and journey, because I don't know where I'd be without it. You know what I mean? Without good coaching. And you heard me mention Chris. Obviously, I'll give him one more shout out because he's fucking been there for me through all this shit.
I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Yeah. but also like, our circle, right? Like, it's pretty cool when you could just, anytime you get together, right? Like back to Napoleon Hill, man. It's a mastermind just anytime you get together. This is it. This is a mastermind right now, right? Two people, goals, talking about some shit. Yeah. Breaking bread. You know what I mean?
Bread, yeah.
Yeah. Popping bottles.
Yeah. Who, us?
No. Yeah. No, never. Awesome, man. What else, man? You got anything else coming up? Anything you want to share?
No. Maybe we'll save it for another episode, but I haven't talked to you about it, so you'll get upset. But looking at doing something else too, aside from everything else that I do, but looking at another business venture that kind of been sitting on for a while. But we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that and share it later. Yeah. Tony, dude, I appreciate you stopping by I appreciate our friendship, and always being the soundboard that I need. You know what I mean? Right. I got to do a better job of shutting up sometimes and listening.
Yeah, you are. You're working on that.
I'm working on it. I'm working. There's always something to work on. But no, I appreciate you, dude, and thanks for helping me share where the hell I've been.
Yeah.
And you know, the goal is just to keep on pushing on with the consistency, man. That's it.
Dedication, consistency, keep it going.
That's it, bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro. We'll talk soon.